Greetings, it's Iain from RTO here. A bit of housekeeping before we do today. I do apologise for cancelling live stream at very short notice. Wasn't the best 48 hours, and yesterday by the time it come round for doing the live stream I was absolutely shattered, and I wouldn't have been much fun, so that's the reason I cancelled it. So I've had a good night's sleep and I'm feeling much better than I did yesterday. The other thing is, don't forget this weekend is the closing date for Battle Royale. I know most of you have got your entries in, but if you still want to enter, you've got till midnight on the 17th to get your entries in. And the prize, it's like a battle. Each album will be battled off like in the FA Cup, and then when we get down to the semi-finalists you will automatically get an RTO mug, but if you win the Battle Royale you'll get a exclusive t-shirt. So that all closes on the 17th, and next week Dave and I will make a little short video where we do the round 1 draw. Anyway, it's Friday, which means it's live album ranking day, and today I've been holding this one off a bit until I've done his studio albums, but it is Ozzy Osbourne's live albums. The legendary Ozzy Osbourne, national treasure. He's in a poor way these days, but he's still fighting strong, and as a solo artist he released 5 full live albums and 1 EP, which I am going to include. So here we go. So coming in at number 6 we have that EP that was released in 1990, and it's just called Just Say Ozzy. It says it was recorded at the Brixton Academy, however it was probably recorded later or earlier, because the tour ended on August 18, 1989, so I would say this was earlier. And the performers on here are Ozzy Osbourne on vocals, Zakk Wylde on guitar, Geezer Butler on the bass, Randy Castillo on drums, and John Sinclair on keyboards. It's a very short one. So the first track on here is from No Rest for the Wicked, and it's Miracle Man, which is pretty good live. It's better than it is on the studio album actually. And then another song from No Rest for the Wicked, we've got Bloodbath in Paradise. Again, sounds a lot better live. Shot in the Dark from The Ultimate Sin, there's nothing wrong with that one. Again, it just sounds a little bit better live. The guitar sounds a little bit more heavy. Then we go back to No Rest for the Wicked and Tattoo Dancer. That sounds great in the studio version, but the live version is definitely better. Then we have a track from a Black Sabbath track from Master of Reality. We have Sweet Leaf. And then we have Paranoid. Raw picks from Paranoid. Yeah, it is a little bit of a mishmash, this is. But there wasn't much live Aussie stuff around, you know, of current stuff when this came out. I think I would have preferred to have a couple of more Aussie tracks. Now, this tour was when they did that. He appeared at that Moscow Peace Festival, and we could have had songs like Mr. Crawley or I Don't Know or Bark at the Moon or Crazy Train. I'd have preferred to have Crazy Train on here and Sweet Leaf and War Pigs. So I'm going to still give this an RTO ranking of 5 out of 10. Okay, then coming in at number 5 is an album that's got 2 titles. Here in the UK we call it The Talk of the Devil, but over in America it was released as Speak of the Devil, and this was released in November 1982. And it's basically Ozzy doing Black Sabbath songs. And you got to remember, when this came out, it was roughly at the same time as Live Evil from Black Sabbath, so it was put out as a, I suppose, a sort of rivalry. It was recorded between the 26th and 27th of September 1982 at the Ritz in New York City. So the band playing on this is Ozzy Osbourne, of course, and he plays harmonica on the Wizard, Brad Gills on guitar, Rudy Sarzo on the bass, and the brilliant Tommy Aldridge on drums. So this opens up with Symptom of the Universe from Sabotage, which is a great track, and it's not too bad. Then we have Snowblind from Volume 4, Black Sabbath, of course, from Black Sabbath, Fairies Wear Boots, that's not too bad, and Paranoid, Warpigs, The Wizard, pretty good, NIB, it doesn't sound right without Geezer Butler, Sweet Leaf, and then probably a better version than on that the album, Never Say Die. It's probably the best track on the album. It didn't sound very good on the Black Sabbath album, but this is not too bad. Then we get Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Iron Man, Children of the Grave, and Paranoid. I don't play this album very often, but it's got a couple of tracks on there that I haven't got any live recordings of Black Sabbath, like Never Say Die. It's okay. I wouldn't rate it up there as the greatest live album in the world, but it's okay now and again to put on. And when I did put it on just to do this, I quite enjoyed listening to it. So I'm going to give that one an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 4. This was an album released in 2002, recorded at the Nippon in Budokan, and it's just called Live at Budokan, and it came out as a CD and a DVD. So we have Ozzy Osbourne on vocals, Zakk Wylde on guitars, Robert Trujillo of Metallica now on the bass, Mike Bordin on drums, and John Sinclair, who's ex Uriah Heep, on the keyboards. Opens up with the classic I Don't Know from Blizzard of Oz. You can't get any better than that. Opened up a lot of his shows. It's a really good song. I do like that, and I do like the live version of it. Then we have that track from Down to Earth. Now, it's not what particularly one of my go-to Ozzy Osbourne albums, but the live version of That I Never Had is really good. It's got a little bit more energy and it sounds a lot better live. Then we get Believer from Diary of a Madman, of course. A really strong song. Always sounds good. Then we go back to the Down to Earth album. I think this was the tour that was promoting this album. And Junkie, again, sounds a lot better live. Mr. Crowley, of course, from Blizzard of Oz. That great keyboard intro. John Sinclair does a great job on that. Back to Down to Earth, who gets me through. It's alright. I've never been a great fan of that one. Suicide Solution from Blizzard of Oz, another classic track. Quite a long version of it as well, it's 13 minutes, but you don't mind. Then the brilliant No More Tears from No More Tears. I love that track. Not the best live version, we'll come on to that, but it's still a killer version. I Don't Want to Change the World, not a favourite of mine, from No More Tears. And then we have another one from No More Tears, Road to Nowhere, which is pretty cool. Then we go to Crazy Train from Blizzard of Oz, classic. There's only one person that can play the guitar solo on that, and that's the late Randy Rhoads, of course. Then the album ends with Mama, I'm Coming Home, which is not a very good track. In my books, never will be. Yeah, it's not bad. Pretty solid album. I do like the live versions of these songs from Down to Earth, though. I think they are probably the definitive versions. So on the whole, it's a pretty damn good LZ live album. Lots of bad language and all that good stuff that, you know, and you can see him prancing about. I've seen the big DVD and it is quite fun. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 3. Now this is quite an interesting thing. It's called Aussie Live. Now this album came out on Record Store Day in 2012. But in 2011 it came out on the 30th anniversary Legacy edition of Diary of a Madman. And this was recorded during the Blizzard of Oz tour of 1981. And it's got some little bits on it. So it's Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads on guitars, Bob Daisley on bass, and Lee Kerslake on the drums. So basically all the songs are from Blizzard of Oz. I Don't Know, brilliant. Crazy Train, Believer, Mr. Crowley, Flying High Again, Mother, Revelation, Mother Earth, Still Away the Night, and Suicidal Solution. And then for good measures they do Iron Man and Children of the Grave and Paranoid. And then on it you get some little outtakes of tracks. Goodbye to Romance, which is just something else. And then we got some Randy Rhoads outtakes from the Blizzard of Oz sessions just doing the album. Yeah, I do like this because it's, you know, it's the guys that recorded the Blizzard of Oz album. And to be quite honest, these sound really good live with that original Blizzard of Oz band. I do like listening to this. It's really strong. Even Randy does the Black Sabbath tracks well, and it's great to hear them little outtakes of Randy Rhoads in the studios. So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. Okay, coming number 2. Now this was released in June 1993, and it's Live and Loud, and it was supposed to be the final album following the No More Tours. Yeah, you know what happened there. But what is good about this, it just features a couple of tracks from the original lineup of Black Sabbath, and these were recorded which they were recorded in America, in Orlando Arena and Atlanta and Cincinnati. So we have Ozzy Osbourne on vocals, of course, and Zakk Wylde on guitar and piano on the changes, Mike Inez on bass, Randy Castillo on the drums, and Kevin Jones on keyboard. So this starts off with this intro, and it seems to be little segments of Ozzy hits and Black Sabbath, this all thrown together. But then they come out on stage and do Open Up with Paranoid, which is pretty cool. Then we go to the No More Tears album for I Don't Want to Change the World. Great version of that. Then another track from No More Tears, Desire, which is absolutely brilliant live. Mr. Crowley from Blizzard of Oz. Great rendition of it. I Don't Know, classic from Blizzard of Oz. Road to Nowhere, probably the best version of that song I've heard on this. Flying High Again from Diary of a Madman, really good. Zakk Wylde really is good at doing the Randy Rhoads stuff. Then Zakk does a little guitar solo which goes into Suicide Solution, pretty good. Goodbye to Romance, it's okay. Shot in the Dark, really good version of it, probably the best version of it. And then we get the, I would say this is the definitive version of No More Tears. Absolutely brilliant version. Then we get a great version of Miracle Man, better than the one on Just Say Ozzy. Absolutely killer version of it. The sound of it, it sounds great on here. Drum solo from Mr. Castillo. War Pigs, Bark at the Moon, absolutely incredible. Then we get Mama, I'm Coming Home. Yeah. Crazy Train, I think Zakk does the best, apart from Randy does a great version. Then they do Black Sabbath and Changes. and then there's a couple of bits from Black Sabbath and Paranoid and all that good stuff that was thrown in. So I do like this album. You know, from the classic version of Black Sabbath by the original band, which is pretty good, and the tracks from No More Tears are pretty good on here, and I do love listening to this. And then I would say I prefer this one over the Live from Budokan just a bit. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 9 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 1, I think everyone must guess this. Released in 1987, it was recorded between 1980 and 1981, and it is tribute. So on here is Ozzy Osbourne, Randy Rhoads, Rudy Sarzo, Tommy Aldridge and Lindsay Bridgewater on keyboards, and Bob Daisley plays bass on Goodbye to Romance and No Bone Movies, and Lee Kerslake's drummer on Goodbye to Romance and No Bone Movies. So it opens up with, from Blizzard of Oz, I Don't Know. Great version. Much better than that Aussie live. The sound is really good. It's a killer track. Blizzard Crazy Train. Just love that track. Randy Rhoads at his finest. Then from Diary of a Madman we have Believer. It's a fantastic track, and it really sounds better live. Mr. Crowley, from Blizzard of Oz, of course, really good. Flying High Again from Diary of a Madman, definitely one of the best versions of that song. Mother Revelation, Mother Earth from Blizzard of Oz, Steal the Night Away from Blizzard of Oz. It's killer tracks. Suicide Solution, very good version on here. Then they do Iron Man, and Randy Rhoads does play the guitar and really does justice to Tony Iommi's work. Same on Children of the Grave. That stuff was reality, of course. Really strong version of that. Paranoid, it's okay. Then we get the tracks that Lee and Bob are on. Goodbye to Romance, probably the best version of that song. It's absolutely brilliant live on this album. This is the best version, of my favourite version of this song. It's not a particular favourite of mine, but it's the best version. And No Bone Movies is brilliant. It's one of them tracks that doesn't get enough love. It's a brilliant version. And then we get some more Randy Rhoads studio outtakes, same as on the other album, but you get a little bit more. Yeah, I love this album because I think it has got the definitive versions of some of these songs from the Blizzard of Oz again. We're so lucky that we have got this live album of Randy Rhoads, which I think shows his skills better off than he did on the 2 albums that he recorded with Ozzy. I think this is where you see Randy Rhoads at his best. And I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 9.5. So there we go, a little bit of the Prince of Darkness live material. I'll be back later with a one-off album suggested by Mastermind Dave. And it's an album called Free Ride by Marshall Haynes, but in America it was called Dancing in the City. So a quick reminder again, Battle Royale entries must be in by midnight on the 17th of September. That's midnight UK time. So I'll be back to do Marshall Haynes very soon. Bye for now.